Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Singleton, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I come to you live Monday evenings at 7 p.m. And I have had a very busy weekend, and today it was just a crazy day. I was going to pick up all my kiddos, so my grandkids, and I got the day off from them, and so I pretty much worked in my craft room and then didn't do much of anything, and so hence I actually did not jump in the shower and get all ready because I fell asleep after I worked in my craft room since I didn't go pick up my grandkiddos. So I apologize that I did not get all ready. So I'm just all kind of discombobulated. Anyways, thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. So I guess it was kind of a nice birthday because I didn't have to do much of anything. So that was kind of nice. So I'm going to switch this over because no one needs to see this whole me face. This is not done, why is this not switching? This usually switches over. Hello. There we go. Okay. So I was at crafting retreat all weekend, which was super fun. I got lots done. I'm planning to have not a November class, because not a November card class like I normally do at the beginning of November, because I will be in Vegas. I think we're coming back Friday or Saturday, but then what I'm going to have is I'm going to have my Christmas class where you can come and make Christmas cards. And then if you don't want to make Christmas cards, you can order your Christmas cards. And so I was working on my Christmas cards for that class. And yes, doing things for myself. I know. I was really tired today. And so I was in my craft room working on today's card, and I was falling asleep. So I just kind of went and sat on the couch, put on a movie, and kind of napped. So that is the best kind of day ever. It's just so after Jessica told me I didn't have to go pick up all the kiddos, I was like, oh, good. I don't have to jump in the shower and get all dressed. And so I didn't. I was like, oh, but I'm doing a live. And I'm like, oh, well, it's okay. I just won't put my face on camera much. So I made dinner and my husband went to a meeting and I was like, oh, I'm just going to do my live anyways. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, it was nice just doing stuff for myself. So at retreat, I got a lot done. I've gotten almost all my cards that I'm going to show that you can either order or come and make. So I think I'm going to have the class on the 12th of November that you can come spend all day making your cards, or I'm going to give you an option if you don't want to make cards, you're too busy, you can just order your cards. But I haven't given a price point yet, and I haven't quite finished them all. Well, thanks. So I think that's the day I'm going to have that I think it's the 12th is that calendar day. So that's what I'm kind of was working on at retreat. I'm almost going to finish that up. Well, Stampin' Up! Has a lot going on. So till the end of the month, we have kit collections on sale. That's 30% up to, our kits are up to 30% on sale, which is amazing, till the end of the month. Some of the kits, they are out of stock, unfortunately, and I don't know which ones they are, but when you go online, you'll be able to find out which ones are out of stock. But that's a great deal. I don't know that they've ever had kits on sale, so that's a great deal. So for the next 3 days, they have stamps on sale. A stamp set on sale. So that means in the annual catalog, 2024-25 annual catalog only, they are 15% off. That doesn't include like the dies or anything like that. It's just a stamp set is on sale. So that's a neat sale that they're having. And it's just an annual catalog. Then if you join my team, which is super exciting, and you want to join my team and become a team member, you get a starter kit between now and October 31st, you get $155 worth of product for only $99. Usually it's $125 worth of product, but it's $155 worth of product for $99. You get free business supplies and free shipping. Not to mention, you get all the perks of being a demonstrator. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do any classes. You don't have to do anything. You could just be a demo, just be or get the percentages off. You don't have to do, you don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. And the nice thing about when you're a demonstrator, was what we call it as a demonstrator, is you get all the you get to order pre-sales and all that kind of stuff. So let me know. So tonight, so I was looking to see what I wanted to do for today's live, and I found that several people have done this, and it just took me a while to wrap my brain around it, because everyone's done it differently. So to wrap around my brain around how to get all the measurements, it took me a while, because one lady made it complicated and I should have researched it a little bit more. But I wanted to use the Splendid Autumn DSP, because when we were in Ouray, Colorado, the colors were amazing there. Oh my goodness. Because we live here in Arizona in the desert, and it's brown and more brown and more brown. It was so beautiful. The colors the leaves were changing, and it was oranges and yellows and reds, and it was so beautiful and amazing. So that inspired me. I wanted to do a card that has those colors in it. So I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? And we have tree stamps, of course, but we don't really have leaf stamps, but I didn't know how to make the leaves. Well, I did see someone actually make some leaves out of daubers. Like, that's a cool idea. But the tree stamp is actually not in the current catalog. It's actually a previous catalog. So I didn't want to do that. So then I've seen these, it's called Panoramic Panel Card. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that will be so cool to do that with this Splendid Autumn 6x6 Designer Series paper, because this paper is amazing paper in here. And it has all different sceneries on it. This is one of them. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. I mean, they're all the papers in here is absolutely amazing. This is one of the sceneries in there. And here's another one. I mean, and then the back side is like just a plain color. But there's so many different sceneries in here. Here's another one. Some more trees with all different colors in there. And then I picked a different scenery. Did I use it all? I wonder if I used it all, because I messed up the first one. So I don't know. Here's another one. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That's just beautiful. So a couple of people did a couple different things with these papers. Oh my goodness. Let's see if I have the actual, oh, here I do have one more of the one that I used before I chopped it up. This is the one that I used before I chopped it up. These were the colors that we saw in Ouray, Colorado. And I was like, oh my goodness. So this other lady, she took one of our dies and she cut it out. And cut out this whole part right here and just put it on a card, and that was the card. I mean, you could just use the paper and not have to use anything else, because it is absolutely amazing. So I mean, this is it's gorgeous. So this is the card that I made, and it is amazing. But it takes a while for you to figure out how to cut these out so that you leave them in order so that it makes the scenery. And I wanted to use all the colors as well. So I used crushed curry, garden green, and then I backed this scenery with Cajun Craze. And then what I did was before I I put all these on the green, and then before I put the green on the yellow, I ran it through the embossing machine, and I gave it that wood look. So this is a wood, our new 3D wood embossing folder. Well, I thought I brought everything home so that I could do this card tonight. Well, I didn't bring my embossing machine. I brought the embossing folder, but the embossing folder is literally, this is the embossing folder. It's huge. It's the Birchwood 3D embossing folder. It's huge. It will not go in my mini embossing machine at all. It's huge. You need the big one. So I brought the folder, but it won't work. So this one we're not going to emboss. And you don't have to emboss it. I mean, it'll look just as nice. That embossing just gives it that stepped up look. So it'll just be kind of plain. But I also don't have any embellishments because I took all the embellishments. And the Autumn, I think, has some really neat sayings. I am not going to put any sayings on the front because it is so gorgeous. You can cut out a saying and put on it, but I think I would put any sayings. I'd put a white piece of 4 by 5 1/4 white inside, and then I would put stamp my sentiment on the inside. But I think that looks just gorgeous the way that it is. But I left the stamp set at retreat. Since I'm going to retreat again next weekend, you get to leave all your stuff there, and I pretty much did because I thought I was bringing everything home, but I did not. So these are the pieces. I cut them out already because it was so much for me to figure out how to cut them out. And to do it on camera was just, it took me like forever to cut them out. So you can also use, instead of cardstock on the back, you can also find another designer series paper and use designer series paper. Use 2 different kinds to complement this one. Like if you want to use a sparkle designer series paper, you could do that. But I decided I wanted to really enhance the colors. So I picked all these colors to kind of complement. So I picked this different background than this background. So I picked a different background. So I picked different colors to do this. So my card base, I picked Azure Afternoon because there is some blue in there, and that really made that pop as well. So it's the standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So that's my standard. But we're going to turn it a different way. So instead of it going to go this way, we're going to turn it to go this way because I want everything to sit this way on there. So we're going to turn it that way. I left almost there. Then I took because everything still has this beautiful color in there, I still went with my Cajun Craze. Now we could go with a more red color, but I still think this Cajun Craze pulls it out. So I'm going to stick with my Cajun Craze. Now, because I'm not embossing this, if I were going to emboss it all together, I wouldn't glue it on here. What I would do is I'd set this aside and I would glue all this on here, and then I would emboss it, and then I would glue it on there. But I'm still gonna wait to glue it on there. So let's glue our little pieces. So what you do when you cut all this, so it's very important to how to cut all this. So you take your yellow piece and you cut it to be about 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then you just start 4 3/4 by 4, and then you cut this into strips. Now it's really important, if you used this as a DSP, to cut them in order, just like I cut these in order, but this is just plain paper, so it's okay. So you need 2 strips 3 1/4 by 3, 2 strips 1 by 3.5, and a 1 strip 1¼ by 4. So otherwise you would have to cut them in order. Otherwise you would cut them 4 by 3, then 1 by 3½, then 1¼ by 4, then 3/4 by 3, then 1 by 3¼ so that the scenery stays the same. So since we're not doing the background that way, we're okay. Now to cut the DSP, we do have to do that in order. What I did was I took my large sheet and I kind of left it large, and then I cut my strips, and then I cut it down so that I could just pick out what color, so I cut my strips the size I wanted. So I had to go, you start with 5/8, 7/8, 1 1/8, 7/8, and then 5/8. Once you have the strips, then you can flip them to decide where you want to cut off, how much of this piece you want to cut off when you have your strips. Just because I didn't want all of it here and I didn't want all of that. I don't want all of this down here. I didn't want all of that. But I did want some of it. So I just took some from the top, some from the bottom, some from the top, some from the bottom, until I got my 5/8 by 2 7/8, my 7/8 by 3 3/8, my 1/8 by 3 7/8. Okay. So then I just took each individual strip and I just turned it in the trimmer, and I said, okay, let's chop off some here, chop off some here, chop off some here, chop off some here, until I got the strip down to where I wanted it. Okay. So that's how I did that. If you have a nice piece that doesn't have so much scenery on it, but it has the pictures of how you want your DSP, you can cut your DSP 4½ by 3 7/8, and then you can just start cutting your strips the way you need them. But I wanted to cut my pieces so my scenery was how I wanted it. So you kind of have to do that. Then I labeled them so I knew which one was first and which one was second, because I didn't want to get that all messed up. All right, so that's going to be our piece we're gonna. All right, so we can glue these pieces on here. And you can use whatever adhesive you like. I just happen to like glue because then that way that gives me some room to kind of mess around and play with that in case I don't get it all the way. Makes it so I can move that and get that where I want that. That's a little, there we go. Okay. Bottom. This one I kind of messed up because I cut part of it off and I didn't want to. So I taped the back. Okay, so I see that I didn't really cut that very straight. I should have cut that more. All right, well, we're leaving that. Yep, I did not cut that very straight. Oh, well. That one, not sure how that one goes. Okay, didn't leave any of the bottom to that one. Cut it all off. The others, I left some of the bottom. Okay. These were all the tops of the trees, which is really kind of what I wanted, but I still thought that it still needed some of the ground. Need some ground and some sky. Okay. That middle one is just not quite the way it should be. All right, now that we have that, now what you should do is you should work on the edges. So let's put this, let's place this on here, how this goes. Then you glue it down. But it works easier if you place it where they go before you glue it. Then you know how much space you have in between everything. It's another thing why it works so nice when you are just not spaced well enough. What is going on here? But you get that up and down by all these different sizes that you've cut. All right, here we go. No, it's just not straight. That looks really good on that. All those colors pop very nicely. Thank you. All right, so then I like to glue outside in because that still leaves me how I'm gonna make sure that I have enough room everywhere. Trying to space it just enough up and down. Now let's do this one. These are kind of the colors that we experienced. Oh my gosh. And then we got an email or somewhere says on Facebook that Flagstaff is experiencing the color change. My goodness, that would be so fun to go see that, but we're so busy. Again, that's the colors, it's the season, everything's changing. Okay, this one. Try and line it up. The other one, and in between, make him try to be about the same. And then we have this one left. The middle one I didn't cut. Oh my goodness. That looks so amazing. All right. At least this one I have more room on the top and the bottom than I did the other one. The other one I did not cut right, but you can't tell. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, that looks so awesome. Those colors are so beautiful. And then we're going to put it on top of this blue one, and it's going to pop even more. So I would then put a white piece on the inside and stamp your sentiment. And this is going to just barely fit on here. We're going to have just like 1/8 of an inch around. Really sliding all over. All right, we're going to close this just so that give me Space here. Okay. You can just barely see it. It's kind of how it's supposed to be. But just enough to pull out that little bits of blue in there. And I have some, I hesitate to even put gems on here. I have some at retreat, but it's just so beautiful the way it is. I do like it. This is plain because I don't have my embossing, but you see how that one's embossed and that one is not. It looks good plain, but I really like it embossed. Gives it just a little bit of texture. And then put your sentiment on the inside. But that just looks, just that little bit of blue, pull some of that blue in here. And then this yellow, and then this, pull out those colors even more. So super, super amazing cards to be able to see the colors that we experienced in the trees. Just amazing. And then it does follow that is kind of the pattern. That is, you see a little bit of the tree trunk there. So it does kind of veer off that way. So that is what I was intending. So yeah. All right. Well, there's your cards for tonight. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. We'll see what strikes my fancy for next week. I can't believe we're getting closer and closer to Halloween. I might come up with another Halloween card. I don't know. Still having some fun with those Halloween cards. So if you need anything, we've got lots going on. We will talk with you during the week. Give me a shout and I'm here to help you. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday. Have a great day. Thank you.